So for those of you that don't know me, I have been vegan my entire life, 26 years, and until recently, I thought I was thriving. But I realized that I really wasn't. You know, the brain fog, the muscle soreness, the fatigue all the time. And, you know, following the advice of Joe Rogan and a lot of other celebrities and other ex-vegans, I realized the solution was adding eggs and fish into my diet. And guess what? It fixed, like, literally all of my health problems. I didn't know how much better I could feel and how, like, literally I could just magically, you know, overnight fix everything by eating a few animal products. Guys, of course, you know I'm kidding. That is never going to happen. I am very dedicated to veganism, and I will, you know, if I do have health issues, I will find a vegan solution. I promise you. Anyway, let's get into the video today and talk about the most recent ex-vegan celebrity, Miley Cyrus.
I like looking at my brain and going, okay, listen, like someone cut my brakes, right, on my brain, and I have to take all the things, omega. Was vegan for a very long time, and I've had to introduce fish and omegas into my life because my brain wasn't functioning properly.
No! Oh, Miley. Miley Cyrus is claiming that she had to quit veganism because of her brain function and she had to go back to eating fish. This doesn't even begin to make scientific sense, although this is one of the most common reasons that not just Miley, but a lot of other people have claimed that they've needed to go back to eating fish. So Miley, that's cool that you like looking at your brain scans, but did your doctor or this therapist you were seeing actually tell you anything from looking at these brain scans, like what it was you actually needed? And if it's DHA and EPA that they thought would help your brain function, you know there are vegan versions of those, right? Vegan DHA, EPA supplements that get all of the omega-3 fatty acids that will help your brain without the animal exploitation and without the heavy metal mercury contamination that come with eating fish or taking a fish oil supplement.
Okay.
But when it comes to my brain, you're not vegan.
No.
You can't be vegan and living this kind of and being this quick. But sure you can. Some people can. I cannot because it was really giving. I was
What
having
did
a
it do
lot
for
of.
your brain?
I feel that I'm much
Slowed you down?
now. I'm so much sharper than I was.
So while there is a positive association across the literature with omega-3 consumption and particularly EPA and DHA being beneficial for brain function and things like IQ, there are so many heavy metals in fish that this benefit really doesn't pan out. Studies have repeatedly found that fish are extremely high in heavy metals and toxic substances, specifically mercury and PCBs, and mercury is a known neurotoxin. Numerous studies have repeatedly shown that higher fish consumption leads to higher levels of mercury and heavy metal exposure. A really good example of this is a 2018 study out of Norway that found that preschoolers who had higher levels of fish consumption had higher levels of mercury tested in their hair. So when we look at studies that try and assess lifetime consumption of fish and how that correlates with brain functioning, one of the best studies we have on this, which is from 2014, found that adults that had higher levels of childhood and lifetime fish consumption actually showed lower processing speed and reaction time, which is a blatant contradiction to what Miley is saying, that her brain functioning was better the minute she started eating fish. A study from 2013 that Dr. Michael Greger has talked about a lot on his site nutritionfacts.org actually compared the positive benefit of the EPA and DHA, the omega-3s in fish, with the negative effect of mercury in fish, and found that fish consumption in general actually had an overall negative impact on individuals' IQ because the negative impact of the heavy metals outweighed any positive impact that you were getting from the omega-3s in that fish.
And
Don't tell that to the vegans. They'll come for you.
They're gonna come for me, but that's okay. I'm used to people coming for me, and it's
You
gonna
need
be
to
that I
eat more
come out.
celery.
No, listen. If I give homes, I have 22 animals on my farm in Nashville. I've got 22 in my house in Calabasas. Like, I'm doing what I need to do for the animals. Okay.
Miley clearly does not understand the ethical fundamentals of veganism, even though out of all the celebrities that have eaten vegan, I actually thought she did more understand it because she was doing it for ethical reasons and not for some health fad or something. But when she says, I'm doing what I need to do for the animals, that's like saying, I don't know, I'm doing what I need to do for human rights. I'm abusing my partner, but I donate to domestic abuse shelter. I don't know. But that's kind of what it sounds like to me, honestly, right? Like, it doesn't matter how many animals you're saving if you are actively still eating for and paying for their murder and exploitation, which is exactly what you're doing when you go back to eating fishes, which are living sentient beings that want to live as much as we do. When we bring in discussions like Peter Singer brought in, and I think I mentioned in a previous video that I'm not a fan of him, and one of the reasons why is he really introduced this concept of utilitarianism to the vegan or animal rights movement. Veganism is not about utilitarianism. It is not about just reducing suffering, because if that's the lens that you're using to go vegan or justify your veganism in the first place, then you're going to end up in a position like Miley is, where you're saying, well, I rescue all these other animals, so it's fine if I eat a few, because in the end, you know, it's putting the sums together, we can see that I'm doing more good than harm to animals, and the good I'm doing offsets the harm. But veganism is fundamentally a principle of non-exploitation. It is not just a tool to reduce suffering. This is what I see when I hear Miley say this. She still cares about animals, and I believe that is why she originally went vegan, but she never understood that it was really about non-exploitation. And so this indicates that Miley has some speciesism.
And I think that I was at one point pretty malnutrition. Like, I remember going to Glastonbury, and that was a show that I loved. I loved my performance, but I was running on empty. Like, I was on empty.
Can I ask you, were you doing a vegan diet like meticulous?
The strictest you've ever known.
But were you doing intelligently? Like,
I
were you
did all my
supplementing the right
supplements.
way?
I do all my protein drinks. I've watched every bodybuilder's YouTube about how they still
You can't pay attention to those
train.
guys.
That's what I'm saying. All of a sudden, I'm like,
Those
all I
guys
eat
that
is celery, and like, why are my thighs like fucking huge?
When I hear that someone like Miley Cyrus is no longer vegan, the first thing that I think is that she didn't want to be vegan anymore. The reason for this is because celebrities and people with the level of wealth and privilege that Miley Cyrus, or for example, Ellen DeGeneres or Natalie Portman, these are some other people that were publicly eating a vegan diet and then quit. When people like them go back to eating animal products, they must have wanted to for some reason, because these people have every privilege monetarily afforded to them in the world. So they have every ability to buy the best, most high quality vegan substitute products, vegan supplements, vegan protein powders. They have the ability to find the best vegan doctors, the best people to consult with and work with. For all I know, they could, hire a private personal chef or use meal delivery services. Everything that maybe to the average person we can't hold up and say, well, you could have done this. These celebrities, like Miley Cyrus, absolutely could have. They have every ability to go out of their way to find ways to stay and thrive on a vegan diet. So when they fail at veganism, or they go back to adding animal products into their diet, there's something else going on here. Like, you don't have that level of wealth and privilege and hold up these other excuses as it not working for you, when if you had really wanted to make it work, you absolutely could have, more than literally anyone else on the planet. So I find these excuses really just that. They're excuses. They show me that they didn't really want to be vegan. And when I watch Miley Cyrus on the Joe Rogan Experience, that is exactly what I see. I see someone who was basically tired of being vegan. Maybe, and she doesn't really talk about this, but maybe she felt like it was too restrictive. Maybe she had people around her that were, encouraging her to fit in more. She wanted to get along with people. Something else was going on besides just her brain function. This is a perfect example to me of why we shouldn't be putting celebrities or any influencer on a pedestal as a perfect vegan. We have people who repeatedly are held up by the media, including vegan media, and I think this is something we should stop doing. And they're held up as these celebrity vegans that are cheered on, in many cases, when these people never truly understood veganism. Beyonce is a perfect example of this. She was held up in the media and by vegans for going vegan, and then walked into a vegan restaurant actually wearing a fur coat. So clearly not understanding that veganism is about not exploiting animals, and it was just some sort of health fad for her. So if you want to hear my take on ex-vegans in general, not just celebrity vegans like Miley Cyrus, then I've linked that video right here where I go into why I am still thriving and why I have stayed vegan as a lifelong vegan. So you all got an extra video this week because I just felt compelled to share a few of my thoughts on this topic because I am really tired of seeing this whole ex-vegan thing over and over and over again, and it seems that there is the familiar thread of these people adding eggs and fish back into their diet. I truly do not understand why it is eggs and fish when there is really good science on the harms. I mean, the science just doesn't match up when Miley says that she's felt so much better from, adding these things back into her diet. Clearly, she didn't want to be vegan. Anyway, that's it for now, and I will see you on Thursday for our regularly scheduled video.